You
We're
want me to
recording. Go
start?
ahead. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So my name is Dietra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been a therapist, oh my goodness, over 20 years now. Um, and when I started, I really was learning more about how to work with people with trauma and how to use these theories that I was given in school. And um, I've worked with I'm from DC, and so I'm from Black DC. I'm from Marion DC, if anybody is old enough to understand what that means. And so I really grew up being very proud to be Black, and also very committed to my community to help in how I can. Um, and so I learned a lot about our trauma. I learned a lot about where it comes from. I learned a lot about having lived experience, living in the inner cities, some of the things that existed there, the good and the bad, the light and the shadow, all of it. Um, and then, yeah, I started working with us. I started working with our kids in the schools and so forth, and using the theories and kind of realizing that these theories, even though it would take us into these places, into the traumas to be able to look at them, it really wasn't helping us, to me, it wasn't helping us to really come out of it in a way where we could feel like we could create our lives and we could own our own lives, Um, Even understanding the history. So I'm really about going back to the foundation of us, of me, of anything, and understanding as African Americans, our history has been from slavery, from trauma, um, sharecropping. If you go through our history of how we ended up being here now,
Right.
even looking at the 70s and 60s when we decided to move out of our communities and go to the cities. Um, and we were asking for public assistance. And in order for us to get that, they had to break up our families and take the men out of the home.
Right.
And so I even noticed, like, when my husband and I started doing couples counseling together, providing it for other couples, that we really didn't understand how to even be in relationship with the other. I knew I didn't. So I always use me. I don't feel like I'm above my clients. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm with them because I'm also trying to figure all of this out. But we both realized that we don't really know what healthy relationship is. We don't talk about what that is for us. We don't talk about the traumas that we've experienced when it comes to relating to each other and then, oh my God, relating to ourselves,
Right.
right? We live in a culture that really keeps us outside of ourselves, whether it is going to a job that half the time we don't like, but we're doing it because we feel like this is how we have to do to survive and to really to survive this place. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
people are really looking at how do I be victorious in this place? How do I really have the life that I really desire to have in this place? Um, a lot of it has been, and this is my experience, it has been, I got to figure out how to make enough money to afford to live in this place. So
Mm-hmm.
there's not even that time to really sit and get into what it is that I like, that I enjoy. Do I enjoy it? I wasn't even asked that question when I was young. you know? um,
I
Deciding
wasn't.
what I want to do in my life. I wasn't asked to do something that you enjoy. Just what are you going to do? Very
Right.
early. And as I grew up in DC as with a single parent, just me and my mom. And so I watched her work for the federal government for years. She retired from there, but she didn't seem happy. I watched her be sick. I'm off from school and she's at work. I watched her work all the time. Now, and she had to get like a little part-time something. So she wasn't home as much as I would have liked her to be. But that all kind of informed me a lot when
Mm-hmm.
we got to around, now fast forward to around 2020, 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had always decided that I wasn't going to really work if I didn't like it, do the job if I didn't like it. So I would quit jobs. I'm like in there, I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I don't like how I'm being treated in here. I don't like how it feels to be in here. Especially being a therapist. It's like we kind of work in the shadows of life,
Mm.
and there's not
Mhm.
much care for us. And we have to just kind of show up and be there, even if we're going through some things of our own. And so I would leave jobs. It was easy for me to be like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't even know where that came from. Um, but then 2020 came, and my husband and I were going through some really difficult stuff, right? And what I realized is that a lot of stuff that I was going through was because I didn't love myself.
Mm. Mm.
And I kept hearing, that we can grow through suffering, right?
Mhm.
And this is a thing, and this is I heard this not from Black folks. I heard this from people, Asian person, people all over, that we can grow from suffering.
Mhm.
That you can't appreciate the good times unless you have the bad times and you have the suffering. And okay, yes, that is a thing. I can't deny that, right? But then I kept thinking, but can I also grow from love? Can I also grow from gentleness? Can I also
Mhm.
grow from ease? And it was, I had never heard anybody talk about this. Um, and so it was kind of a weird thing. I didn't know where I was gonna, well, what is the love? How do I, that whole thing, what is love? How am I going to heal from, using this thing?
Mhm.
Um, and so I started by saying, okay, well, what do I love? What is it that brings me love, brings me joy? And I started getting into different kinds of flowers, colors, smells, food that brought me joy. Um, Being outside. And I started making these baths. So that was a big thing that really switched a lot of it. It was music, it was flowers, it was baths. So I started taking these love baths. Um, and I would put in there things that I loved, me, just me.
Mm.
I put flowers in the water. I really focused on roses because roses, my grandmother used to grow those. And my grandmother was love for me. And so she passed, and I used roses. I would get rose oil, rose, roses, rose lotion, scrubs, soap, everything that was roses, right? Um, and then I started a playlist called Love Songs to Me. And so a lot of the songs that we hear, the love song, was to somebody else, but I would switch it and make it to me. Like there was one, it's kind of weird. It's not really a love song, but there's a Mary J. Blige song
Mhm.
that's called I Can Love You Better Than She Can.
Mm.
And I switched it. I'm like, I can love me better than anybody else can. Um, and not I went through a thing where I wasn't trying to depend on anyone else for love. Let me depend on me for it, right? Um, and then everything shut down. 2020, everything shut down.
Right.
And it
Did
was
something.
scary. Yeah, it was scary because people were dying all over the world, not like just in one place. Like in my time, we had AIDS and it was a certain population. This was everybody who was
Yes.
getting
Yes.
hit.
No
You know,
qualifications.
Mm,
Everybody
I don't,
died. Yeah.
yeah, I don't care what kind of money you had, didn't have, it didn't
Mhm.
matter. Um, what was interesting, it was the first time in my life that I was able to be still and not have to work, and I was getting paid. I don't even know how, God. I was able to get unemployment, and so I took it. I'm like, okay, and my clients didn't want to do telehealth. So I took the time and I stopped. I remember one day on a Wednesday, I was cooking, and I'm like, I'm about to have a breakdown because I was just feeling all of the sadness. It was a Wednesday at 12 o'clock, and I heard something say, Holy Spirit say, well, you don't have anything to do. Go have the breakdown. And I was like, what? Wait, what? So I gave myself that time for myself in love. to go and have the cry, to go and roll over on the floor to give myself what I needed in that moment. And time was abundant. I think that was the first time in my life that time was abundant like that. Um, and so I started doing a lot of things throughout the day that was just around love, that things that I love, you know, things that brought me comfort. Um, and I kept expanding this thing. It was incredible because it was working. And it wasn't working in the sense where I didn't have any sad feelings. I still had the sad feelings. Um, I had a lot of anxiety, depression. I grew up with suicide ideation, the feeling that, oh, I don't really need to be here. Why am I here? And so I used love to heal those places. And what it looked like, right? It looked like the baths and me crying in the baths, me being able to expand um those feelings, those sad feelings, and not try to get rid of them, but actually go into them and go into the sadness and depression to understand, why is it here? Understand that this is all me. It's not something that's external out there somewhere and that I got to attack it and fix it. No, I need to just sit with it and be with it and be with it in love because I am love, right? So then what happened was, um, I ended up going back to different places in my life. I just kind of went there. I wasn't like trying. I didn't even have the concept of going back to different times in my life. It was just coming, and I was using plant. I don't know if that's okay to say here. Okay, so I was using plant medicine. I was using cannabis as well because that I didn't start using cannabis until I'm like I'm 50, 57 tomorrow. I didn't start using cannabis until I was like in my 50s. And when I started using edibles, it was just this feeling like all of the conditioning, all of the judgment just went away. And I was just sitting with me and I found this love inside of me. It was really incredible. But I also went back to different times in my life, right? Not even trying. And I was able to go back into those places with ease, with with love and as a witness. Because it already happened. I understood that whatever, like when I was in the 10th grade, I was really depressed. I mean, very dark, dark, dark. And I would sit by myself in the bathroom for hours with a candle, you know. And my mom, single parent, busy, so she didn't come and see what was wrong, and that was amazing. So I really felt alone. And one time I took an edible and I felt this feeling coming. I'm like, why is this feeling here, and I got up and I went into the bathroom and I gave myself to the feeling because I knew that I had love, all around me and with me. And when I gave myself to the feeling instead of trying to run from it, I ended up back in the 10th grade, sitting in that bathroom with me. And I didn't try to fix her. I didn't try to heal her because she was good, being in that place. I sat with her as a witness from now, and I celebrated her. I thanked her. I thanked her for being there. I thanked her for doing what she did so I could be here. Um, and I held her, but I wasn't, I told her, I was like, I'm glad you're here. Before I had felt ashamed that time, And what I realized is that she's been there all along when I needed a place of solitude, when things became so overwhelming in my life in the present. I could go and just sit there and just be. And I celebrated that. And I think that was the first time that I really got into celebrating. The music helped me celebrate. Um, but that moment I was like, oh, okay. I don't have to fix me. There's no places that are wrong with me. In these different moments in my life, I did what I could with what I had to address that moment, and it got me here, you know.
So you walk
Um,
backwards
mhm.
and you also use the power of music.
Hmm.
to lift your mood? Is that what you're saying, or how would you say it? I don't want to. What did the power of music do?
The power of music reminded me who I am.
Mm,
The power of music. So there were times, right, when I would wake up in the morning and I'm feeling really down and discouraged and really questioning myself, and that was okay. That was fine. I would feel some anxiety, maybe even some sadness,
mm-hmm,
and I would just turn on the playlist. I just turn it on. Um, and a song would come on. Sometimes the song was uncomfortable. And it's really wild. It would feel uncomfortable, but I would let the song play. Um, and I had songs on there, I mean, old songs, Standing Ovation, I think by the OJs or something like that. I had songs on there. I can't even remember. It was just all these amazing old songs
mm-hmm,
and new songs. And I remember one came on and I fell to my knees. I can't remember the song, but it took me back to a time when I was struggling with something. And I wish I could remember. Oh, it was the Emotion song, You Got the Best of My Love. I remember that. And it took me back to a time when I was struggling to move through something that was really challenging. I can't remember what that was, but I fell to my knees because I went through it, right? But I went through it with this song. And I kept hearing, this is what you did. This is what you're able to do. If you could do this then, you have it to do it now. And I'm like, what? You know? Even in the 10th grade, yeah, I was depressed,
mm-hmm,
but I was able to move through the depression. Excuse me. I was able to move through it. Um, so if I could do it then surely I could do it now, you know? And so what it did is I started celebrating. I started crying and I started celebrating me. I'm like, oh my God, I got the best of my love. Look at me. Look at what I can do. Look at what I've done. And I just kept doing that, song after song after song. And so what happened was, one of the things I struggled with is jealousy, didn't he? And so ashamed of it, didn't want to even look at it, right? And one day my husband told me something and I became jealous. And I'm like, okay. What I realized is that my feelings, my emotions are clues. They're not things that I need to fight, resist, fix, and heal. They're things I lean into to tell me what's going on with me right now.
mm-hmm,
So I left. We were talking and I left and I went downstairs and I'm like, I heard me say to me, well, if you can listen to depression, if you can listen to anxiety, why can't you listen to jealousy? Why can't you sit and listen and hear what it has to tell you? And so that's what I did. I sat still. I went into it with celebration. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to me. I feel ashamed. I was honest. I feel ashamed. I feel embarrassed to have this. And I'm grateful that you're here. I'm listening. And what I heard was, I feel jealous when I haven't taken enough time with me, for me, when I'm looking at other people to give to me what I can take the time to give to myself. Not that I can't still get that from other people, but to rely and to depend on it puts me in a place where I become jealous, especially when they're doing something else because they're not for me. And so I'm like, okay. And so that's what I started doing. I had not, at that time, when I felt that jealousy, I had neglected me, and although I had been doing this work around um, love and gentleness, I hadn't been for a little while. And so when I did, the jealousy, it just kind of it stepped aside in a sense, you know. So I realized that I can go into a trauma, go into anything and celebrate that thing, celebrate what it gave to me, celebrate my movement through it, celebrate how it's able, what I came out with from it. Um, and I'm like, whoa, okay, well, maybe this can
Mm-hmm.
be something that I do with clients. Because also what I started doing was deconditioning myself. And what I mean by that is we have a culture that we grow up in. We have our family culture in our home. Then we have a larger community culture, the neighborhood we live in. Then we have a culture where we go to work and the culture, all the things. Um, and I realized those things had conditioned me to think and believe a certain way about myself. And it had conditioned me in a certain way that I needed to be in life. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, but I have a way that I want to be in life that has nothing to do with mommy, daddy, anybody. So let me work to get there. Um, so when I looked at being a therapist, I was like, okay, they have the therapist being this sort of like person who appears like they've made it through, right? We got the answers. We don't have any problems. We are just this, I don't know, expert. And I'm like, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm a human like anybody else. And I wanted to bring humanness into the counseling sessions as well, to let my clients know we're on this journey together. You're the expert that invited me in to journey with you. And so my goal is to help my clients understand that you are the creator of your
Right.
life.
Right.
You're the one based on the choices that you make, based on the stories that you tell about the things that have happened, because you can always change the story as well. But we tell ourselves stories about a thing, and then we believe the story, and we have all these emotions and feelings and stuff that come from that. So if for instance, for me, I used to get in trouble a lot when I was in middle school and elementary school. So from that, I told myself that I was a bad child, that I was a bad girl that became a bad woman, that was looking for other people to let her know that she wasn't bad, that had to figure out how to be a thing for other people so I could be a good girl, right? That was the story that I told myself, even though everybody around me is telling me something different.
Mm.
So I had to change the story so that
Mm.
I wouldn't be a bad girl and I wasn't walking through life and creating relationships from being a bad girl and trying to be good for somebody else, right? Um, so I learned these things and I'm like, okay, I can help my clients learn that they truly are the experts, and the things that they desire in their heart, they're able to get it. And it's gonna take work because we have been conditioned to live and be a certain way by all the powers that be,
Right.
right?
Right.
So to take that back, there's some sacrifices that we would have to make. Um, but we're making it for ourselves. So I started creating a way to do this.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you had a question. Uh,
No, I was just wanted to summarize everything that you said because it takes us back to self, and you shared about
Mhm,
how you basically, from what I've heard you say, um, you had to start love. First, you had to acknowledge you. You had to accept that girl, that teenager, that child. Um,
mhm,
you had to accept your story. Hey, this is my real story. This ain't my play story. This ain't my story that I'm putting out there to the world. This is my story that I live with every day behind closed doors. And then
mhm,
you had to start learning how to love yourself. So from the from the bats to preparing those roses. Hey, I love roses. Roses mean something to me. It validates who I am, that I'm worthy, I'm a flower. So now I like that music. This music talking to me. It's saying, it ain't the modern day music. It's music from
mhm,
back then when people
mhm.
actually wrote songs with meaning. So this is all of this stuff. So now I'm here now. I'm gonna use all of that to celebrate me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because even though I may be a therapist that everybody look up to, like you said, that knows everything, shoot, hey, I'm just another little girl too.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
So
And we
tell us
can
about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and we can play together.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I put into my vocabulary is play.
Mhm.
Even in when it, like I said, when it comes to all of these hard emotions that we like, I don't want to get. I'm like, well, why not? Let's just play. I'm just gonna play with these emotions, because they're all me. Um, and then, you did ask about, and this was big too, being a Black woman, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
Um, it's there's okay. So there's two things, superpowers, right? And realizing that also some of these things that we don't like are our superpowers as well, right? But also being a Black woman, I wasn't taught necessarily that the way I look is beautiful, my hair is beautiful. I mean, I remember on Sundays, and I don't know if anybody else has this experience. Every Sunday, because my family is from North Carolina in the South, um, I had to sit down in front of a stove with a hot comb,
Mm.
okay? And even though it's part of our culture, if we told this story to somebody else that's not a part of our culture, they might call CPS. Sitting
Right.
in front of a stove with hot grease on my hair, on my
Sizzling.
scalp,
Mhm.
sizzling, hearing your hair sizzle every single Sunday, holding your ear for dear life, that they don't burn your ear. And yeah, we laugh about it. But
Ooh, yes.
when I sat with it, I'm like, oh my God, this is what my elders did to my hair to let me know my hair was not acceptable. Don't let it get wet in any way.
Mm.
Imagine the message that comes in that. Then I'm gonna
Mm.
go and pay somebody to burn my scalp so I can keep my hair straight. I
Mm.
remember that because I have very fine hair. And so it would burn and burn my hair out, people, nothing on the sides and all this stuff, just because I'm told I am not beautiful the way I am. So it's a hard sell, right? For Black women in particular, because I don't know any other race of women where they tell you that your hair, now color, yes. Latina, Asian, everywhere, they color, right? They're putting on the cream to make themselves lighter and all this stuff. But your hair is fine.
Mhm.
No one else, no one else experiences the hair thing the way we experience it as Black women. I mean, even going for a job, like even coming on here, thank God, because, I, I had decided I'm just going to let my hair do what it wants to do. Um, so I don't really do a whole lot, to it. And that's still a place that I'm still trying to learn to love because I was taught from day one in a very real way
Mhm.
that something is wrong with my hair. Something is wrong with my
It's
hair.
interesting that you said that because my children tell me, "Oh, don't cut your hair," but to me, right now, this is freedom.
Hmm.
I've had to live that. I had to learn to set my own standards
Hmm.
and not the standards that was given to me.
Hmm.
Absolutely freedom. I love color, so I can put whatever color I like in it, and I'm gonna keep on stepping. But that was something that this little girl also had to work through. And then I know you've talked about it. You talked about so many different things that I know we need additional conversations, especially when you talked about emotions.
Hmm. And
Um
even I just want to take a minute just to celebrate that. And this is what I'm talking about that I do in my counseling
mhm,
because you went from um and I don't know the story behind your hair, but you went from, being conditioned around your hair needs to look a certain way.
mm,
And, and going along with that, even like probably getting jobs and so forth, but then
mhm,
taking the time and having the courage to say no. It's like people don't understand. It takes a lot of courage to be like, I'm not going to do this thing that society is telling me I have to do in order to be accepted to live. We talking about to get money to live, to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
This this was being judged. I went to an IBM interview and I had braids.
Oh, that's another
And
issue
they
back
told me,
then.
we love you, we can give you the job, but you gotta take out your braids. And I said no. I was like, no, but that takes a lot of courage. And so to be able to celebrate that courage that it took to say no, my hair, the way I decide to have it is more important than this job, this
Oh,
company,
yeah.
this that's huge. And so it's like to celebrate that and then to build on that
Mhm.
courage to advocate for yourself, because that's what it was. It was courage to say, I'm, whether I believe it or not, I'm going to advocate for me. You
Right,
know, whether I believe my hair is beautiful or whatever, I'm still going to decide to wear my hair the way I want to do it. And whatever happens from that, that's what happens. And
right.
also believing, because I think you and I, there's a commonality there. The belief that hey, I'm going to succeed anyway.
Hmm.
I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, but I'm gonna take ownership of me. I'm gonna take ownership of the time. And I always tell people, you know, the day that we were born, we were allotted a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
And what we do in between the time we were born and the time we die, it's on us. So now that I've taken the time to understand my journey,
Hmm.
I had to step up to the plate and do what I need to do, take ownership of me and heal. And you know, there's um so many things that we need to talk about. So I know that we're gonna have to revisit and just kind of
I'm
like
here.
expound on this conversation, because it's something as, and I acknowledge the fact that I'm an elder now. So
Hmm.
now is the time for us to share these gems and these nuggets with the younger women,
Yes.
um, especially in the light of all of the things that's going on around us. So we're
Hmm.
gonna come back and talk a little bit more about celebration,
Okay.
share, a little bit about yourself. You know what? I realized I didn't even identify myself. I am Carla Scipio. I am the woman in the woman in my garden. I am the founder of a community of women that are motivating and inspiring other women, not that are not afraid to share their stories.
Hmm.
So you can always find us in conversations in the garden, the woman in my garden, because I've been poured into by so many women, so many elders, even people younger than I am. And
Hmm.
you can always find me on YouTube, or you can find me Carla Scipio. I'm Carla with a K. I always tell them that they ask me Carla with a K. I'm Carla with a K. And did you just share how they can get in contact with you? Um, and they need just to talk to you about how can they be part of your community as it relates to
Okay.
clients and the things that you're doing, especially about celebration.
Hmm. So my company's name is called Grandma's Porch Family Support Services. So if you put that, I have a website. So if you put that in the internet, it will bring up my company. My number also is 404-993-7156. If you call that number, you will either get a voicemail or you will get me. I am a licensed professional counselor that I've been for about over 20 years. Um, and Carla, thank you for this. Thank you. Um, and I do want to say for Black women, this is so important, because there aren't many places that we're celebrated. There's a lot of places where they want us to change and be something different and be something that um will make them feel comfortable, whoever they are that's trying to change us. I don't, and to take back ourselves, it's needed. It's needed. Because we are, I don't care what people say, we are the heart.
Mhm.
We are the heart and soul of anything we go to. And so it's so imperative that we really learn to love ourselves,
Yes.
to honor ourselves and to
Yes.
celebrate who we are unapologetically. It's so
Yes.
important. And it's a journey. It's a journey because we've been so much has been put on us. And sitting here to tell you that, with Carla and I, it can happen. You can be in that place where you're like, hey, this is who I am. This is how I'm living. And this is what I'm going to create from and attract from. And
Yes.
yeah, so I'm grateful to be here.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for coming in the garden and having this
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank
I
you.
know it's just the beginning. There's so many things that need to be done and work to be accomplished. So thank you, Dietra.
Thank
Speak
you.